Welcome, everybody, to the final panel of the 2025 International Writing Program's Fall Residency. It's an honor to be here on behalf of the International Writing Program, and this gives me a chance to thank the writers from all over the world who took the courageous step to leave their lives behind for 11 weeks here in the U.S. And I want to also thank Beth Bond and the IT team at the Iowa City Public Library for hosting our panels every Friday. They are doing the work sort of behind the scenes, but it makes possible the magic that you get to hear here week after week. Finally, I want to give a big shout out to the international programs for keeping us motivated with weekly pizza, the last edition of which is there in the back. Today's session is going to be a bit different. We open up the mic to the writers for Images of America, inviting them to share something memorable from their time in Iowa City or anywhere in the United States during this residency. A moment, a feeling, an observation, an experience that has stuck with them. As we like to say to the writers, you have all become celebrities here in Iowa City. So no need for lengthy introductions. Just come up, say your name and country, and let us know your thoughts. And in honor of that, I'm going to give you the upcoming events now so that at the end we can just close things. This is not the final event of the residency. You can join us tonight at 5 o'clock for a reading at the Shambhala House on 430 North Clinton Street, featuring Ajari Ayub from Indonesia, Karen Margalit from Israel, and Datoma from the People's Republic of China. On Sunday at 4 p.m., we will have our final Prairie Lights Sunday reading of the season with Roxana Crisologo Correa from Peru and Finland, Grigor Shashikan from Armenia, and Warren C. Longmire, an MFA candidate in poetry. Our last public event will be our UI dance collaboration on Saturday, October 25th at 8 o'clock in Space Place Theater in North Hall. In this event, Iowa dancers perform interpretations of selected works by IWP writers and residents. And with that, I welcome the writers to come up. There's no order. It's entirely as the spirit moves you. Thank you.
I said, Karen, you're older. Come on, be. But I'm also short. This is too. Who will help me? Okay. So, hi, everybody. America. Okay, so I'm not sure if this expression exists in other countries. You will see, Sue, in a minute. I'm a writer. I know how to throw my details. I don't need to tell it out loud. I know to put it in a piece. So I'm not sure if this expression exists in other countries, but for those of us who grew up in Israel in the 80s, we had a word, America. How was it? America. How was the party? America. America meant abundance, endless possibilities, a million options. We had one television channel until the 90s. America had endless stations, endless shows, burgers, clothes, shoes, perfume, toys, books, 3-story bookstores filled with books. Options, options, options. I've been to America many times in my life, but this time in 2025, I met a different America, an America with only 2 options, Trump or not Trump. Almost everywhere I went, the subject came up. In Iowa, I met Uber drivers who had lost their lifelong jobs, 30, 40 years in one place, and now they drive Uber. In Boston, I met an African-American taxi Uber driver who told me that America is one of the most racist countries in the world. He said that if the scandals tied to Trump had been tied to a man who wasn't white and rich, he'd have been thrown into the trash bin of history long ago. Maybe, he told me, there was only one president in his lifetime he truly respected, Jimmy Carter. I tried to defend America. I told him about our visit to New Orleans, to Whitney Plantation, and about the feeling that seized me in the souvenir shop at the end of the Unbearable tour. There was a rack of T-shirts, each printed with the number 1865, 18065, and I felt a sudden lift of spirit. America's finest hour, I thought, a civil war fought to end slavery, the willingness to turn against your own brother for something greater. But he wasn't impressed. Freedom from slavery isn't something you're giving, he said. It's something you take. I asked if he was an activist. He sounded like someone with a lot to say. He shook his head. Not anymore. I just don't care. America, like the rest of the world, feels sad now, divided. Like much of the world, some of its citizens have lost hope so deeply that they can no longer afford to care. So where did I find the old America, the one of endless possibilities? Here in this program that gave me the perfect conditions to sit and write. We got used to it. But every time I think about it, it still feels unbelievable to me and fills me with optimism that there are still people who believe that art and academia are values in themselves. The same America that allowed me to come all the way from Israel and meet an Israeli friend I never met before, Roy. Thank you, Roy, for the abundance of playfulness, for letting us, both of us, be young students again, talking from morning till night about art, reading plays, analyzing characters, inventing new ones, shooting small films where new characters arrive in America, visit Tennessee Williams House, the Mississippi River, and James Theater, and the Capitol building. We created new worlds together. We cried over the bleeding Middle East, and we cried again when the war ended. Now we hope together that it will last and the suffering will finally end for all sides. This opportunity, I believe, could only have happened in America. It is still the land of possibilities, made real by the beautiful, generous Iowa committee who gave us their hearts, and by the wonderful friends I met here. Some of you, I look now. Smart, funny, hypochondriac, God forbid, great taste, film-loving, unique, special. So how was it? America. Thank you.
I am Dongorera Simon Piri from Malawi. I think I will explain America first by looking at a poem I wrote to my little daughter of 10 years. The language is I'm trying to explain to her about Iowa. So in that, I think, in this poem, in that simple language to her, I'm also trying to explain how I felt in Iowa, and then I'll read another one for New Orleans. In Iowa, for Cleopatra. Now we cannot do a video call, my daughter, but I can leave this message for you to read it in the morning when I'm fast asleep. Despite the jet lag, I arrived well in Iowa. A pill of melatonin did some magic when I needed some rest after I fell to sleep, and when I had to wake after I found myself dozing. The weather is Muzuzu-like in June. Not bad. They call it fall. So I am home. When it changes in October or November, I'll be on my flight to welcome early rains back home as it begins to snow here. You would love their food, as you always don't like our nsima. But a lot of challenges to find what I enjoy. The rice is spicy or porridge-like. At least Irish potatoes with pork are good. Vietnamese beef paw is just like karonga soup, apart from the noodles. You'd love that. And hot dog. And their washing machine, accepting coins, notes, and cards. You throw in coins and it counts for you. I did once and resorted to hand washing in my hotel room. The washroom in my room has a drying space. Anyhow, on a bathroom curtain rod, I dry my clothes. In Iowa, no public smoking, no public walking with a beer or a whiskey glass. One has to do that in a confined place. I know when I drink at home, you always say what good I find in Jameson. Fine with that, I survive without it, but not my smoking Kosovo, Armenian, and Indonesian friends. They struggle with it. More than once, I accompanied them to Deadwood, me sipping witch slap as they puff. This is your city, my daughter, free public transport, the only city possibly that does that in the world. And your ambitions of life expectation are here. Iowa is the future. I have to return after my residence to continue my routine life of writing on my chair and watching BBC and arguing with your mom for loving my laptop more than her. Yeah. So I feel like that is for my daughter. And the other aspect of Iowa, then I went to New Orleans. Very different. The ghost of New Orleans. Let me walk you through the ghastly nights of New Orleans, meandering through Bonton, Royal, and Tata streets, Creole and shotgun houses lined up, the casting lanterns semi-lightening the streets, as jazz melancholy plays in the distance. With shadows of the past passing around, black ghosts of flying around, their fingerprints visible on the Creole walls and streets. Did I tell you? You meet ghost pub crawling, particularly when you are drunk. They are the enslaved people who labored to build the city, bleeding and crying as they worked. After taking some sips of whiskey, you see the ships flying over the city. Songs of savannah echoing, songs of defeated warriors transported to a land unknown to them. And you see them bound, treading through the tropical forests to the coast, to be shipped across the Atlantic. That mansion over there on Esplanade Avenue was owned by a rich family with a plantation along the Mississippi. Let me talk about sugar plantations. A ship still sails on the Mississippi. Black angels from the field of St. John the Baptist Parish sing solemn choruses. Born and bred in the plantation, all they knew was rebelling and dying. They still haunt the river. Thus, this city's beauty belies the dark history that shaped it, and the ghosts of the past continue to haunt its streets. These are a sobering reminder of the brutal foundations of progress. And here we are, the descendants of the slaves. We still toil and tell our stories, the haunting ones. And now you visit bars in this quarter and listen to jazz music. But behind that are ghosts of New Orleans that still haunt us. You see change, yes. The place has changed, but the ghosts remain the same, haunting us. Any questions? If not, that's all for tonight's Haunted History Tour in the French Quarter. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Siddharth Dasgupta. I'm a poet and a novelist from India. Because so much has been read and prepared and structured within our residency, I wanted to just speak for the first part and just sort of let you know about how these past few weeks have gone. It occurs to me over the past 10 weeks that an image of Iowa is very different from an image of America. Iowa City especially resembles, do you remember the Asterix comics? And Asterix had a tiny little village called Gaul, and it was the only village sort of surviving against the marauding Romans. So Iowa City currently is Gaul, and surrounded by oceans of red. The one aspect which has stood out for me over these past few weeks has been contradiction. So you find this liberal beating heart within a lot of madness. We found sort of a very, very still, measured city which goes wild come homecoming, a concept I still can't understand. We found a city that sort of measures its steps, and there's a routine and there's a cadence. But then there was the wild cadence of, unexpected jazz in New Orleans. I've certainly have found the fact that I could find stillness and majesty and salvation in a poetry session, and then step out and there are two madmen fighting over an imaginary object. So all of these contradictions have made up America. And but what has not been a contradiction has been the warmth and the gratitude and the generosity of the people here. Generosity in the way they've opened their homes and their hearts and their conversations and their curiosity, and gratitude in how they almost seem happy to have us over, and whatever our literature may add to the city. That sort of gratitude will sort of remain. I don't know how many of us get to come back to Iowa, but we'll always have Iowa, I guess. I'm going to end with this poem written in the majestic confines of the Graduate Hotel. Hotel Memory. I wanted to tell you the tides will quell. I wanted to tell you of Calcutta and Isfahan and a city drowning in literature. I wanted to tell you memories accrue. I wanted to tell you it's not often that I use the word accrue. I wanted to tell you each time a child is killed, my breath grows heavy, still finds a new way to breathe. I wanted to tell you not to take the world upon your shoulders, since the world occasionally can be a very heavy thing. I wanted to tell you not to stress too much over skimmed whole or 2% milk. I wanted to tell you chai is only really chai in India. I wanted to tell you there will always be war and that it's still okay to talk about books, wine, to let the body dance towards other bodies. I wanted to tell you the collective term for a gathering of writers ought to be whimsy, a whimsy of writers. I wanted to tell you cedars are in their rising. I wanted to tell you spring is in its departure, beautiful, melodic spring. I wanted to tell you I can't sing, but push come to shove, I will sing. Shukriya.
Hello, my name is Roxana Crisologo. I am from Peru, living in Finland, Peruvian Finnish. Some weeks ago, I witnessed a violent attack by an ICE federal agent against a young Colombian migrant worker of Bread Garden. I was truly moved by how people stepped in to help. The day after was organized a very big demonstration. I will always remember that demonstration because it reminds me that in United States, not America. I will never use America. It's United States, please. There are still very good values. Thanks for this. I want only to say, stop ICE, free Palestine.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vlora. I come from Kosovo, and I'm going to try to lighten the mood And keep it clean, Julieta. When I came here, this is a short story or essay or whatever of my experience of not being able to smoke nowhere in Iowa City. It's killing me. In Iowa City, smoking is basically a public confession that you have no respect for health, happiness, or anyone within a 50-foot radius. You light up and people look at you like you just insulted their baby, or their golden retriever, or their golden retriever's therapist. In a city famed for literature, you'd think smoke would be forgiven. If not for the poetry, then at least for the stress of writing it. But no. I'm from Kosovo, a landlocked slice of the Balkans. Back home, a cigarette is not a sin. It's a social glue, a way to say, I'm here, you're here, we have both probably survived something terrible, light. You meet someone's cigarette, you fight with someone's cigarettes, someone dies, many, many cigarettes. It's not glamorized, it's just what lungs do when they're emotionally involved. No one glares. You smoke when the power goes out, which is also when you light candles and pretend you live in a tragic European film. I became a fugitive when I arrived in Iowa City this fall for the International Writing Program. A lonely, twitchy, law-abiding fugitive with phantom cigarettes tapping against my fingertips. While my fellow writer, Sing Hang from Hong Kong, was bonding with a homeless guy over kung fu, I started haunting corners, looking for a patch of air where no one would scold me for breathing wrong. And as it turns out, every outlaw eventually finds a hideout. That's how I found Deadwood. I love you, Deadwood. It's a dive bar in Dubuque Street with a sticky floor, 5 pinball machines, 2 pool tables, and the kind of staff who don't flinch when a poet asks existential questions like, what's the cheapest drink here? Legend says a plank of Deadwood named the place. This may or may not be true, but I love it because it sounds like something you would do if you were opening a bar and trying to pretend you weren't scared. Suddenly, I was among my people. I was home, because in Deadwood, the patio is a miracle. Smoking is allowed, joyfully, openly. Where are my smokers? There. Armenian, Indonesian, New Zealander. One wore flip-flops and cursed like a priest. One chain-smoked but apologized to the sky with every exhale. Someone coughed a cough that sounded like poetry in Morse code. Nobody said, I miss home. They said, is this lighter yours? They said, I love this place. This is the last one, I swear. We didn't talk about literature or America, not directly. We talked about how walkable Iowa City is, how warm and welcoming people are, how even the streets seem to smile at you. We admired the campus, so big and so beautiful, although I've learned that big and beautiful are the 2 words Americans use in speeches just before the funding vanishes. We talked about how strange it feels to be a foreigner in a place that's so clean it makes you feel guilty just for standing still, and how disorienting it is to miss somewhere while still being in it. And then there were the locals. It's still a bit of marvel to me how someone here will sit down beside you and start talking like you've been mid-conversation for years and just took a brief bathroom break. Where I'm from, we treat don't talk to strangers like government policy. And I've come to love this easy generosity, the way a stranger will hand you a slice of their life without asking for anything in return. There was the handyman who had only managed 4 hours of work that day and was wondering aloud if that would cover gas, dinner, maybe a little leftover for tomorrow. He wasn't bitter, just doing the math out loud. Then the woman who said she was an architect. She flexed, literally flexed her muscles and said, I build houses. A cigarette dangled from her fingers. Then she told me with perfect conviction that her father's people were Norwegians and her mother's descended from British royalty, and that she might as well be a princess. And I believed her. And the young woman who insisted Kosovo was in the Middle East, I guess confusion is shaped by headlines, words, and accents. We sorted it out gently. She laughed, I laughed. The world got a tiny bit less wrong. I go there 2, sometimes 3 times a day, alone, sometimes with my smoking friends, sometimes with my non-smoking friends, when they forget. Once, my non-smoker friend, Roy, who came with me, an actor, director from Israel, with lungs like a cathedral and the melodrama to match. The entire time he waved smoke away like it was personal. Haven't we Jews suffered enough? He cried, not once, but twice, louder each time. People turned. He didn't care. It wasn't protest, though, not really. That's just Roy's way of saying, I'm here for you. So maybe belonging isn't about arriving. Maybe it's about being let in a little at a time. Maybe it isn't always national or even cultural. Sometimes it's local, sometimes temporary and slightly smoky. Thank you.
Hello, I am A.C. Liu from Taiwan. I have heard since I was a kid that America or the United States is a melting pot. Even in Iowa City, the pure university town, I can experience it firsthand. I read the Taiwanese film script with the Israel theater director and television producer. And the Malawian writer took his first Indian yoga class, led not by an Indian writer, but by a Taiwanese writer, me. At a restaurant named after the Japanese literary giant Soseki, I ate Taiwanese beef noodle prepared by a Taiwanese chef with Peruvian and Korean writers, and both of them love it. At a Sichuan restaurant owned by a Fujianese, my favorite dish is Singapore rice noodle, even if Singaporean writer wouldn't acknowledge it. What is America or the United States? I still want to believe it's diverse, inclusive, open, and tolerant, just like the salad bar in Bray Garden, and just like the heart of the writer. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tomás Downey from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I wrote a little something because I think better when I write. So, when I was a child, do you hear me if I don't bend? Okay. When I was a child, around 9 or 10 years old, my parents took me to Disney World. One of the rides I remember most is one called It's a Small World. They take you on a little boat, I think, through a place filled with animatronic dolls dressed as children from all around the world, singing songs and such. It's, of course, Disney's take on an intercultural world, pretty archetypical and flat. But as a child, it was still kind of fascinating. It showed diversity. It was small indeed, but kind of big at the same time. So here I am again in the United States. America, in my dictionary, as in Roxana's, is a continent, not a country. And I find myself thinking about that silly ride more than 30 years later. I guess that's because what I'm taking home with me is this exchange with people from all over the world. My fellow writers, their stories, their backgrounds, their languages, and with the people who live here, most of whom came from somewhere else, other states, other countries. I don't know what the United States is. I guess it's a lot of different things. But I do know that Iowa, this community, is a place of gathering. It might sound naive, but I'm not idealizing. I know on one hand that it's a kind of bubble, and on the other that there's also conflict and misunderstanding, and that its relative openness is in danger. Ignorance, racism, and violence are on the rise. We've seen ICE in action right here across the street. Still, it's a place where I got to meet a lot of people with different realities and ideas that mostly enriched me. So I'm pretty grateful. I've learned a few things, and I've made some friends. That's already quite a lot. That being said, this is the last time I talk into a microphone, at least for a long time. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm the non-smoking diva that Flora mentioned. Images of America. When we were asked to prepare something for this panel, Julieta sent us the recording of last year's event. From watching the video, I learned that there was a couple of writers here who met here last year, and within the 2.5 months of the residency managed to fall in love, get engaged, and then married. That did not happen to me. I came here single, and I'm gonna go back single. I didn't find the love of my life. Maybe I didn't search hard enough, and maybe nobody tried hard enough to find me either. In any case, we were asked to say something, some closing words, and something about the images of America that we'll take back with us from our time here in Iowa City. So look here. Throughout my life, theater performances have always been the ones to leave the most profound impact on me. Last week, I had the opportunity to visit New York City and attend a preview performance of the musical Ragtime in Lincoln Center. The first act of this wonderful musical ends before intermission with a famous number called Till We Reach That Day. On the large stage stand all the characters, a broad cross-section of immigrant American society, men and women, black and white, Jews and Christians, rich and poor, old and young. Shortly before, one of the heroines, named Sarah, was murdered in a terrible hate crime, and the question, what is wrong with this country, hangs in the air. But now they all stand together on the stage and offer a shared prayer. There is a day of hope, may I live to see, when our hearts are happy and our souls are free. Let the new day dawn, O Lord, I pray. We'll never get to heaven till we reach that day. It's a day of peace, a day of pride, a day of justice we've been denied. When a man can live and a child can play, we'll never get to heaven till we reach that day. It's hard to describe the power of this emotional scene and the emotional reaction that washes over the audience in that scene, here and now, in this divided land, America, and at this very time, 2025, when the question, what is wrong with this country, is so relevant. And yet on stage, just before intermission, we witness a rare display of unity, of solidarity, and of shared vision. Everyone up there shares the same yearning. It is a distilled moment of healing, of deep comfort for so many people in the audience and on stage. Americans and foreigners, tourists arriving from other bleeding places, in my case, from Israel, say no more. That moment at Lincoln Center last week was for me a reminder of America at its best, not only due to the virtuoso skills of all those involved in the production, but because the common and justified image of capitalist, oppressive, and merciless America was replaced for a second by a reality of solidarity and a sense of community. Such moments, rare ones, in which a spark of humanity and community is suddenly revealed, are the ones that move me most. In them, I feel pretty much like Blanche Dubois, the protagonist of A Streetcar Named Desire by the wonderful Tennessee Williams, whose home in New Orleans we've just visited 2 weeks ago, who after her encounter with Mitch, who seems to her to be her intended groom, utters the immortal line, "Sometimes there is God so quickly." Looking back, I experienced such moments here, which I will treasure in my heart on my way back home, not only while facing the theater stage and fictional works, but also in everyday life. Your wonderful senior college here, bustling with activity for golden age people, or the amazing mobilization within less than 24 hours from the humiliating arrest of an immigrant worker at Bread Garden to a press conference and huge rally of support for him and his family at the Ped Mall. Such solidarity, person to person, I missed among us, the writers at IWP. Not all of us knew, unfortunately, how to rise to the occasion, to remember that we are all human beings, not countries, not leaders of our countries, not our religion or language, not slogans, not TikTok videos, not a stereotype or a prejudice. The magical opportunity to make eye contact and hold dialogue with the other, to discover them in their humanity, to step out of our familiar comfort zone and old cliques, and to build new bridges, to offer an alternative to the terrible reality of the world outside our residency, has been sadly missed. In this, I see a personal and a collective failure, a betrayal of our role as artists, as people of peace and of words. The wonderful Israeli playwright, Nissim Aloni, used to insist and to say that reality has such a slight connection to life. Here at IWP Model 2025, we let reality dictate our lives, unfortunately. Not always, not everyone, and not all the time, of course. I'm grateful, for example, to Andra Schwarz from Germany for the text message she sent me last week on the second anniversary of the terrible massacre of October 7th. A small human gesture of sharing in grief. How right, how appropriate, how kind, how easy, actually. Like offering a glass of water to a thirsty person or helping an elderly woman cross the street. For this is the simple truth. Whoever chooses to boycott, to ignore, to look away, will not get anywhere, certainly not to heaven. Remember ragtime, we'll never get to heaven till we reach that day. Thanks to those of you who became dear friends during the last 9 weeks. Thank you all for the privilege of being here. God bless America. Goodbye, adios, ma'asalam, shalom.
Okay. After Roy, this is very, very stupid, but it's okay.
You are a dear friend.
Okay, this is the thing that I'm going to say is not an image of America, it's not an image of United States, neither is it's just an image of Iowa City. A very specific visual image. I just want to say that I'm taking many things from Iowa, among them the yellow and black colors imprinted in my eyes. It's funny because in Buenos Aires, the city where I was born, I live in Spain, but I was born in Buenos Aires, taxis are black and yellow. And you know that taxis color is part of the identity of a city. So since childhood, I have had deeply ingrained the idea that you should never dress in black and yellow. Otherwise, people laugh at you and shout in the street, "You're a taxi, are you free?" Blah, blah. That was worst in childhood at school, you know. But after Iowa, at the very least, among many other gains, I'm going back home, although home is not Buenos Aires anymore for me, but I'm going back home with that trauma healed, I hope. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maliente from Singapore. I'm just going to be reading a short piece I wrote yesterday. I'm eating lunch with my headphones on when the bellowing breaks through. 2 college boys, tall, wide, short shorts and big T-shirts tower over a woman holding a sign half her size. The sign says, Charlie Kirk was a racist who wanted to repeal the Civil Rights Act. The boys loom over her and taunt. He never said that. Get a life. You're a waste of space. And other expletives that I'll save the library money on. They whip their hands around as they yell. One of them takes out his phone to film the incident. They are still laughing as they bounce to class. They are emboldened by each other, growing louder and moving closer until she backs away. Within 5 minutes, she is talking to 3 other college students, and they talk with her about ICE and the Constitution and the rights they don't exercise enough. She reminds them of the coming protest, and she says, I'm one tough cookie. Those boys don't bother me. But it is a hot day, so I'm going home. She steps into the rays of sunlight and marches up the hill. I see her almost every 2 weeks, always with a different sign and with the same steely countenance. She is braver than me, I think. I don't see those boys again, or I do every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday when the lines out the club spill across the Ped Mall. When I see them, when I think I see them, I imagine them watching the video in their camera roll in a year or two, in a decade. Will they feel shame or pride? It's folly to try and essentialize a nation, a state, a city, but the temptation lingers, and I ask myself, is Iowa City the 2 boys grabbing their crotches and grinning into the camera? Or is it her, dense and determined, stepping into sunshine? Is my nation the 4 people it has executed since I've arrived in Iowa City? Or is it the tears at a candlelight vigil? Maybe it is both, maybe it is neither, maybe it is all, maybe it is none. It is between and betwixt, and I am wrong in all ways except the ways I am not. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I'm Yu Yunnan. I'm from Hong Kong. And Priyanshia is okay. Mine is more stupid. My speech is more stupid. That's okay. Yes. And my speech is quite simple. And I didn't have any specific things to share, but just one thing I want to say that I truly enjoy this residency and get to meet all of you from different backgrounds. I think it is once in a lifetime experience to make friends with a lot of great writers. And I also want to share a silly things that my mother always sent me a message and asking me about how are your colleagues, and are they kind or treating you well, and do you need to go back to the office, and how is your work? Is it busy? And when I showed that our group photo to her, and she said that, oh, your colleagues look so fun, but why are you always hanging out? Don't you need to work? And I tried to explain to her what I'm doing here, and all of you are not my colleagues. You are writers, and we are writers. But I'm not sure she fully understood it. But I think it again 2 days, and I think maybe she is right in a way. Yes, we are. You are all my colleagues, and our work is to write as a writers, And the poems, the novel, and the writings are our salaries. And our office is at our hotel or Black Garden. And I think in this sense, I think Dongo is so rich and like a role model colleagues because he writes a lot every day. And at the same time, we are like colleagues, and as Karen said, we are also like classmates, like a student, because we are staying in a college city, Iowa, and also me and Agnes and Cheng Han, and we attend the Japanese literature class every week, and this is a Professor Kendo's class, and we really enjoy it. And it is really like we are going back to school period to pursue something quite, I think, I can say that it's quite romantic or idealist every day here. Because what we do is to write, read, and exchange ideas here. So we are colleagues, we are classmates, and also we are writing companions. I think we know each other well, what we are doing, right? Yes, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Agnes Chu from Singapore. First, I would like to thank the entire IWP team for your warm and incredible support, and also to everyone we have met here who have shown us such kindness and generosity. I really, really appreciate it. I remember telling Julieta during my first week in Iowa City that I was already feeling a premature sorrow at the prospect of having to eventually leave. And now that our departure draws near, I still feel this sorrow, but it is richer and brighter than I imagined. Because as much as I cannot bear to be leaving, this place and the people I have had the privilege of meeting have given me so immeasurably much. Above all, friendship, courage, inspiration. I will hold close to my heart the time spent writing and reading in this city's beautiful libraries and bookshops, walking along the river, reveling in nature, spotting squirrels and chipmunks and deer, seeing the ring of Saturn through a telescope for the first time at the observatory, and being a student again, attending Professor Kendo's Japanese literature classes. My past 2 months here have felt like a dream from which I wish I didn't have to awake. It truly has been a gift and an honor to have been part of the IWP this year. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who have made my stay here a cherished experience. Thank you.
Okay, I feel tricked because all of my fellow writers told me that they're not reading anything, and then everybody decided to change that over the past 24 hours, I guess. I didn't get the memo. I'm not even dressed to be on YouTube, so. My name is Gigi from Saudi Arabia. I've heard of Minnesota Nice from my brother who did his residency in Minnesota many, many years ago. I've experienced Chicago and Nice when I did my own dental residency in Chicago. And now I've been experiencing IO and Nice every day since I got here. First of all, I think we owe Chris a round of applause.
He is an image of America that we will all remember, and we will all be proud to have been residents in your last year of being the program director. Our first month, I would say everyone was obsessed with finding someone. People came with an agenda. We will either find someone, we'll find who found someone. People were dying to have couples, love stories, triangles, and everything. I have to say that I enjoyed being the emergency contact and the consultant for any emergencies, medical emergencies for the program. I think I've rubbed backs with ointments. I've given all sorts of pills, legal, over the counter. I've given inhalers. I've been shopping at CVS and Target more than shopping for anything else. So that was a nice bonding experience with my fellows. I will miss this city. I will miss this library where I spent so many hours and so many days. I'll miss the pedestrian mall that my room looks at and all the activities that have been happening every day since we got here. I really expected this to be a very quiet, local, small town. It's seized my expectations and surprised me in the most beautiful way. I'll miss Shamba House a lot. It was our safe haven, and you never know who you're gonna see that day there, but there's always someone, besides, of course, Monique and Julieta and Lindsay and Chris. I'll miss the familiar faces that always appear within the audience because they love literature and they love the IWP so much and they're always there to support. And of course, I'll miss my friends from all over the world, my fellow writers. We've spent highs and lows together, and we started not knowing who's gonna click with who's gonna be close to who. And by the end of the program, I think we've all shared memories that we will always cherish. Thank you.
Okay. I have to say that in late February, when the International Writing Program was informed that all of its grants were being terminated by the Trump administration, I spent about a minute or two thinking that was the end of the IWP. But what Images of America makes clear is that that idea persists, and inshallah, it will continue to persist going forward. Just a couple of thoughts here. First, I want to thank, I must say, Gigi, it has been the case almost every year we've had a doctor. And I was so happy that we had a dentist this year. Because I'm only speaking about previous years. It was obvious a dentist would have been helpful. But I'm glad you only... Yeah, that's my kind of dentist. Roxana was talking about the demonstration. Just a reminder that tomorrow will be a No Kings march here, beginning at 10 a.m. In front of the Capitol. I want to make a special thanks to Kendall, who not only graciously brought writers to his classes, but then hosted them for parties and all sorts of things. You are honorary IWP, Kendall. And I want to thank, and I also want to thank my very tired staff, Julieta, Lindsay, Monique, Lauren, and Johnny. Ordinarily, we have a staff of roughly twice that size with drivers and all kinds of things. And throughout the course of the writer's stay, they have performed in an exemplary fashion, picking up all sorts of new skills along the way in order to make what we viewed as a makeshift residency exactly as it's supposed to be. I wanted to say that at the beginning of the residency, I invoked Alexis de Tocqueville's On Democracy as the beginning of a tradition of writers coming from abroad and acutely understanding what we are as what Americans are as a people. And what I heard this afternoon makes clear that that tradition remains vibrant, and I'm grateful to all of you writers for the comments that you made and for the care you took in writing them up. I have to say, in the beginning of Images of America, nobody wrote anything. And then over the years, one or two would write, and more would write. And this year we had so many who wrote. I love it when it's written, and I love it when it's informal. Vlora's argument, I wish I'd had that no smoking, the smoking argument 12 years ago when I battled in vain to preserve a space for the writers to smoke, which it was against my idea of what should happen, but I argued strenuously, and if I had had Vlora's argument, I might have bought us another year, but not till 2025. And finally, I love Siddhartha's idea of a whimsy of writers. What a great way to think about this cohort, and really every other cohort. I love that whimsy. I do have to say, though, Siddhartha, about the question of chai. I have a miniature American Eskimo named Chai, and she's very happy in Santa Fe right now, and I hope that persists for a long time, and she is the real Chai. Thank you all.